This is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar. Today's date is December 7th, the year of our Lord, 2021. Pearl Harbor was yesterday, right? Pearl Harbor Day. Yeah, December 6th. Living what is it? Infamy. So anyway, we want to say there's about 200,000 vets still alive, I think, out of 16 million people who served in World War II. So there's one guy, he's going to go there. It's the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And so we just want to give a shout out to all the vets out there. My sister's a vet, and my dad served in World War II. So, and all my uncles were in the South Pacific. So, anyway, it's a solemn day yesterday. So we just want to shout out. So anyway, today we have a guest, and he's one of our lifeguards. For you people on our podcast, we are, if you're on our YouTube or Facebook and watching us right now, we do have a podcast. So you can always go to the podcast. We're on Spotify and we're on Apple Podcast, excuse me.
There you go.
So today we have, and again, I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar. I'm a board certified reconstructive foot and ankle surgeon. I practice in New Jersey. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine. And so we just throw up our stuff there. We have an email address if you ever want to get on the show or talk to us. It's drkachmar@icloud.com. That's drkachmar@icloud.com. And for people on the podcast, it's drkachmar@icloud.com. We also could get us on Jersey Shore Foot and Leg Center and also Instagram. Can you throw up the
Instagram at lg.association.
Right. And please, if you guys are listening, subscribe, hit the bell, but definitely subscribe to us. You'll help us get our algorithm, and we could bring you a lot of content. We're a lifeguard news radio show. We're live, so not too many people could do live. We're like the tightrope walker without the net.
Yeah.
We have no net. So we have so who do we have? We have Sean. Sean, you want to say hello?
Hello, glad to be back.
That's Sean. We have I don't know which button to push here. Yep, I was right. We have Tyler.
That's me. What's up, guys?
Tyler's here. And then we have our guest, Jack. Jack,
what's going
thank
on,
you.
Guys? Yeah, thank you for having me.
No, thanks for being here. So Jack, can you just fill us in who you are, where you worked on the beach, just how many years, just general. We don't need to know like where you were born and like all of that stuff, but give us like the last couple of years.
Sure. Well, I have worked in Seaside Heights as a lifeguard with you guys for the last 5 years. Outside of the beach, I am also a marine biologist. I graduated from Boston University a few years ago, and I'm currently in the process of applying to master's programs for marine biology.
Great. So let me just throw something, with marine biology. I'm a biology major, physics minor, and I loved, I did have a course in marine biology, and so that's a great field. I really, I kind of envious that I would have loved to have gone in. There was a place down in Florida. I don't know if it's Stevens Institute. There's a biology school down. It's like you can do a master's down there, or fellow, or maybe a doctorate. I don't know. So it's somewhere down there. Scripps. I don't remember now. Are you familiar?
Yeah, Scripps is in San Diego. Stevens is a college in Newark, but there's a bunch of
what's down there? No, I thought they had somebody.
Stevens in
No.
Not Newark, Hoboken.
No. But what's down in Florida? There's some biology. There's some place down in Florida where for marine biology. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few different schools down there. They're all very, very good. University of Miami has a great program. I actually did some work in the Behringer lab at the University of Florida.
Okay.
What did you do there?
In Gainesville, I worked on invertebrate pathology.
The what?
He has no idea.
You're gonna have to explain a little bit what that is.
That means they got no spine.
I know what invertebrate means.
Yeah, so I went down there. I continued my work that was started in Belize with the Erosion Lab at BU. We went to Belize, took some samples of lobster muscle tissue, and then we went down to the University of Florida, analyzed that tissue for different viruses.
Did you find anything interesting?
We found no viruses, which is a
Right.
good sign.
Good.
That's a good sign.
Assuming
We-
these lobsters were
Yeah,
is
relatively
pollution-
healthy.
pollution-
I'm all pretty sick of viruses at this point.
Yeah.
But listen, we did a similar study. When I was down in Tortola about 5 years ago. We took lobster tissue and we dipped it in butter and
So it did get a sunburn, right?
and then
Stay
we
on
decided, and then we
topic,
put half of it was with lemon juice and the other half was not, and we so we did our anyway. Well, listen, it's great having you here.
Thank you.
You know,
It's great to be
as one of your supervisors, you do a great job on the beach.
Thank you.
And I know I give bust you behind all the time. I do all these because I want you guys to get better. But you and all three of you guys, work on the South End, which is not by accident.
Not me.
But that's another whole story. Let's not get to politics. But you have actually we need people. On the North End too. We need a lot of people. If that beach gets crazy. But my point is that all three is. I would have no doubt, because you're the kind of guys that make me feel a lot easier when you're working. I mean, we need to have that. I mean, as a supervisor, I have to trust you guys. So, anyway, you're gonna talk about. I know you guys have some things tuned up. So, what I wanted to talk about today is I was down in August for a wedding in Jamaica. And so there was a hurricane or a tropical storm that busted right off the coast of Jamaica. So we had tropical rains. And I don't know if you've ever been, if you're in Belize, have you ever been where there's tropical storm with the kind of rain? Have you ever seen?
We weren't in Belize when we had a major tropical storm, but we definitely had some squalls coming through that were pretty nasty.
Right. So
did you paddle out?
Of course.
So you don't.
Seriously?
What's that?
No, there were no
No.
waves.
No.
I was looking into it beforehand, but no surf.
But a lot of it's funny because when it rains like that, it's hard to explain to people. There's not really no wind. It's just it just comes down constantly. Like somebody's pouring water on your head. I mean, it really gets really crazy. So anyway, we had the country was closed for a while, and when we got there, they opened it just one day.
Where were you at again?
To Jamaica.
Okay.
When we went down there for this wedding, they just shut it down. They had a spike in corona again. So anyway, we all wanted to go on excursion. So it's pouring rain. We would have waited another day or two for it to clear, but we weren't allowed because they were going to shut this country down again. So we went on this day. It poured. We drove there. It was like, the van we were in almost floated away. But when we got there, it's a river, right? And it's a series of waterfalls, and there's a zip line that goes over it. Right. So I have my GoPro, I videoed the whole thing. What they do is they take tourists out onto the falls, right? And let them frolic out there. So we're going to show you, first of all, the first video is how violent. Usually the water is crystal clear. You can see it. And it's just a, very mellow stream. So we're going to have Sean pull up the first thing. So I can't see anything. Okay. Yep. So you want to give a full picture so they get a, can you do the full picture there? Okay.
So what's happening here?
No, go forward so you see the full force of it.
What are we looking at?
I want to show you the waterfalls. Yeah, this is the waterfalls.
People just listening right now. We have to explain what we're looking at.
So what we're doing is we're looking at the waterfalls. But I want you to go where the beginning.
Right, so there's rapids happening, just a lot of rain.
Right, but I want you to go further up so you can see how. Get away from. Go in the beginning of the video. Yeah, look right here and go widescreen. See, so it's really. I just want to give you a feeling of how much force there is there. I mean, it's just really howling.
The waterfalls?
Oh yeah, it's like brutal. It's really coming down. If you were there, I mean, it's raining and it's really bad. So go to clip now. This is one. So I said go to clip 1.
Okay.
So we're going to show this now. So everybody out there, so you guys better watch this. You can keep it kind of loud. Now go ahead to where you see past all of this. So right here now, so
there's now people standing in the waterfall.
There are people, so these lifeguards
are what we're looking at.
Yeah. So what's happening is there's people. The lifeguard is taking how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 morbidly obese people.
Yeah, they should not be standing.
No
there.
life preservers.
They have no
it's
business.
in a roaring river, and you can't really tell, but that's about 10 foot. If they fall backwards, they're going to go. So people listen to the podcast. You got to go to our YouTube and watch this and check it out. But if you were there, it's like so dangerous. And if you keep
Are,
going,
are we video on Spotify now? Did we figure that out?
No, we've not
Never
figured
mind.
that
Never
out
mind.
yet.
so go a little bit ahead to where you see the lifeguard. So get rid of the people. I don't
Oh, they
want
got
you-
a guard in here.
Yeah. So there's a guard up there. So now go to clip. This was clip 1.
This is one now.
So go to clip 2. Lifeguard 2. So we're gonna show you another clip. So go to 2. And again, people out there, it's hard. You got to watch this. So again, this is a roaring, and you can see the people out there. The guys with the umbrellas.
This is in Jamaica.
This is in Jamaica. No life preservers. No, and
Wow.
and
What
it's just-
what are they doing? Why
They're
are we
just
crossing
They're
the
just dumb
waterfall?
toys.
just to take them. They're tourists. Just to get the excitement of going out there. They're just taking them out there for a walk.
Oh, I see the red can.
That's not,
See the red
There
can?
you go.
See
and
the,
they
did
have
you show-
the classic circular.
see the red can? There's the can. That's the
donut.
lifeguard running back and forth. Again, I have people who is on podcasts. So this is just showing you how it is in other countries. There's no Americans with disability. There's no life preservers. There's nothing.
Other
And-
countries, this looks like Action Park.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. There's your light. That's what they got. They talk about a can.
Yeah, they have
So-
a red can on a stick and a donut like.
Right. Look at this. Look, and now those people fell down. They would go all the way down. I'm telling you, the time they got them. So now go back to the eclipse again.
Yeah, we're on 2 now.
No, so there's a zip line. I want you to just do zip line 2.
Okay.
So and we'll finish with this. I want to show you. So there's zip lines here, right? So again, the storm is howling. I mean, there's not a lot of wind, but it's pouring rain. It's over this river. And watch what they do with he'll go to zip line 1. And you got to, make it pretty big because it's hard. So, there goes 1.
Whoa.
So wait
Fast.
for another one. They'll come. So look where the waterfalls is. And they come flying right from over there. And it sounds like a jet engine when they go. They're so fast. Right over this whole waterfalls, and it's pouring rain. You'll be able to see it real quick, and then you could shut it off if you
Did
don't
you
want.
do this? Did you go on the zip line?
No. We wanted to, but it was I
I'm
was
just
like,
too afraid.
Did you walk across
Nah.
the waterfall?
no. They all went in. I wanted to take the pictures, but
Would you have gone into the water if someone?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would have grabbed the can, but I'm just trying to see. Here comes one. See, look, guys. Here they come. See it?
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh wow.
Here it goes. You hear my yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah. Look at that.
Mowing in the background?
That's
Isn't that
the zip line
amazing?
Flying by.
I mean, they're going that fast. I swear, it sounds how it sounds, and I can't. It doesn't do it justice. When you're in a boat and you're sailing this big ocean and you do video, it never looks as bad as what it is.
No, it
it's
never does.
always worse.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really funny how it doesn't translate, and I think that's because you're there, you're moving all around, and like there, it was pouring rain. I had to have an umbrella over me every time. I had to clean the camera. But it was just funny. I've seen this before. I worked down in Tortola for 10 years, and the lifeguards down there, it's a whole different, attitude. Three of the lifeguards came down with me one year. It was Pete Castriani, BJ Discus, and who else came down?
DeSantis, maybe?
DeSantis.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's right. And they all went, and it was May. And it was funny. I told them, I said, I don't think the ocean is going to be any waves. They came. It was double head high, and I'm not making this up. You asked them. It was legit because the lifeguard captain, he's like, Mike, they're double head high. Anyway, they went out anyway. I mean, but nobody said anything. It was fine. There's same thing. You could go in your own risk. I mean, they'll tell you, well, I wouldn't go too close over there or too close over there, but they never pull the plug on anything. So anyway, I thought that was pretty neat. To see how it is in different countries. I have my buddy who runs the lifeguard program or lifeguard association in Tortola. I'm going to get him come on the show. We'll have him call in one day, and he's from England, and he's got a great perspective because he could tell us about how lifeguarding is in England, how it is in Tortola, and I think we need to. I want to see. We're looking at different places in this country, but different places in the world.
Yeah, let's get everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty neat. I wanted to show that. So you guys, what do you guys want to talk about today? So you want to
Talk about Jack.
Let's
Jack,
talk
what do you
about
got?
Jack. I just wanted to show that. I wanted to
love
get
it.
that out. So
Let's do
Jack,
it.
You closed your laptop. Did you already spit all your facts?
no.
No, I was about to die.
Oh, here,
No,
you,
I
you,
scripted my intro
you-
on my laptop.
you need to
Did
plug. Here, plug it in. You
you
need to
need a
plug it.
charger?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. I'm gonna ad lib this. Don't
There you
worry.
go.
You-
Okay,
we,
cool.
we got charger right there.
More natural.
I'll give you the cord right here.
No, I'm okay. Don't worry about it. I got
Oh,
it.
okay.
So you
Is
like
it in a
lobsters,
Google Doc?
Jack?
You can.
You like
I used to
lobster?
like lobster before I spent months and months researching them. Now I'm not it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have
as
a, I
big
have
of
a
a fan.
question for you about that. What kind of viruses were you looking for, and what could cause those viruses to be present in this lobster flesh?
Yeah, so not a lot of viruses actually affect lobster. We specifically were looking at a virus called PAV1, Polinius argus virus 1. Polinius argus is the scientific name of lobster virus, and then number
First
one.
one.
Is it
Yeah.
called,
First-
is
the first-
does
so-
it cause warts on their like fins or something?
So the first
Um,
lobster
On their
virus.
paddles?
Yeah, so we were looking for lobster virus number 1.
Okay.
We didn't find it. I'm not sure what causes it.
Uh-huh.
But the lobsters were relatively healthy. When
Okay.
we looked at them, which is definitely a
So-
good sign for the
so-
ecosystem.
Lobster virus number 1 being present in the lobster flesh would be an indicator of something being wrong in that ecosystem.
I
I'm
remember
assuming.
I remember like hearing this, like might be a dumb Snapple fact, but lobsters typically don't only have predators, and that's like the main way they die. Like they can live for a very long time. I don't know.
Yeah, so lobsters and a lot of people think fish as well are something called indeterminate growers,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
which means we don't really have a great handle on their lifespan, and they could really, in theory, just keep growing and growing and growing. And that's why you used to hear stories about fishermen and old captains talking about these massive, massive fish
Uh-huh.
that they call. That seems almost unbelievable now.
Like actual sea monsters.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So but that could just be like folktale, them just the ocean's crazy and like explaining it back to people on land, but also fish
But-
could just have
Oh
been-
yeah,
But
definitely could
also-
be. Absolutely.
It could be true because there's not a single picture from back then, and all we have are those stories.
Well, I've seen big lobster down in Tortola. I've seen, 10, 15-pound lobsters. They're
Yeah, they get pretty
they
big.
get big, and they don't really fish them down there. It's very tight. They have a season, a very small season where they can be harvested, and they really, it's what do they call it? It's just people go out. There's certain people will get it just enough for the next couple days, and that's it. They don't go any more crazy. So I want to ask you something because the research with lobsters. Why, like the lobsters up here, they have claws. I was just up in Maine, and man, they have claws. I mean, the lobster, the claws are almost as big as their tail or bigger. And then, you go down, the claws get smaller, and then you're in Florida and then the Caribbean, there's no claws.
Mhm.
So what's that whole thing about? Why, are you familiar why that happens? Like they're different
just
species?
Evolution working its magic. Yeah, they're.
Why?
I
What?
believe they're different species. So
why-
the lobsters I studied were called Caribbean spiny lobsters. They had no claws, and what they did I'm assuming it's because of the predators they have to deal with, and these lobsters down there just aren't encountering the same circumstances as lobsters.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Further north. And it's weird. They do
The
this thing.
hardy northeastern lobster.
Yeah, they can hold
I
their
won't
own
be-
for sure.
So it looks like-
Yeah,
it looks
I wouldn't
like
mess with them.
What I've noticed, and again, I didn't do the research. I know we were going to talk about this today, but it seems like the further north you go, the bigger the claws are. I mean, when I was just up there, I was just up in Maine, in June, and we went out to the lobster restaurants, and I'm telling you, the claws were huge, and they were really good. They were better than tails, in my opinion. And but yeah, down in Tortola, there's a place called Anegada Island, and they got Anegada lobster, and they're really famous for that. And they cook them up. They take the mango roots, dried mango roots, and they cook the lobster with that. But
Ooh,
anyway,
Jack,
So-
before we really get into the weeds with all the marine bio stuff, because I do have a bunch of stuff I want to ask you, and I know you brought stuff you wanted to talk about. I think that the way you kind of decided to take on marine bio is kind of relevant to the show,
put it in his
right?
computer. Tell him
Yeah, it definitely is. I don't know if I said this before, but big fan of the show. Been listening the last few weeks. Love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And you guys talked a lot about, like microplastics, saving the ocean,
Mhm.
stuff like that. And every time I tell people I'm a marine biologist, they always say, "Oh, you want to save the ocean?" I really don't. You know, like
Ooh.
I
Come on,
need
man.
to.
You want to say that on? You want to
100%.
retract that? This is live. I can
let
take
me,
that
let
out.
me expand
Okay,
on that.
okay,
Let me
okay.
expand on that. I didn't become a marine biologist because I wanted to save the ocean. I became a marine biologist because I love the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to not have to save the ocean, you know, because I think there are cooler things to study than microplastics, than ocean acidification, than overfishing. But unfortunately, these are the most pressing issues of our time. And if I want to maintain the quality of the oceans we have today, we're going to need to come up with solutions to these problems pretty quickly. But I didn't become, you know, getting back to my original point, I didn't become a marine biologist because I wanted to save the ocean. I became a marine biologist because I felt this deep connection and draw to the ocean. And when I say that, I don't mean just spiritually. There was actually a really cool study that came out about a year and a half ago, I believe, by Dr. Cliff
Dr.
Capone.
Michael Kachmar.
I'm gonna write one soon. I'm gonna write one soon, guys.
It was by Dr. Cliff Capone, who, aside from having a doctorate, is also a sponsored surfer.
Oh,
But he set out to try and quantify this kind of connection we feel to the ocean. So he took a group of surfers and non-surfers, people who are consistently in the ocean and people who aren't. And he examined their microbiomes in their guts, on their skin. And what he found was people who consistently go in the ocean have very similar microbiomes, more similar, no matter where you are in the world, more similar to other people who consistently go in the ocean than not. So,
Wow.
now
so what that means, let me just expand
Yeah,
on that real quick.
yeah. Go
Means
ahead.
that the four of us who go in the ocean consistently,
And we swallow water when we're in the ocean.
all the time, yeah.
I mean, I don't swim. I don't do a buoy swim without getting a friggin' mouthful
Yeah.
of water. But I don't know what that does. But anyway,
Blake loses his teeth every time.
yeah. So go ahead. So
But yeah, that means the four of us right now have more similar microbiomes to lifeguards in Australia and Hawaii
Wow.
than we do to our neighbors and our own family,
Wow.
given they're not going in the ocean consistently.
I believe the word is waterman.
I think that's first of all, I think that's the most interesting thing that anyone's said on this show so far.
It's a low bar.
yeah, really, it doesn't take much to
but
excite you.
Still.
Doesn't,
But,
yeah.
so
Don't get too excited. All right.
that
Your poop is
microbiome-
the same as somebody else's poop.
It's pretty cool though. I think.
is that congruent in any way with like any like health metrics? Like does that, like, are we healthier than like the average person because of going in the ocean so much?
I don't want to say yes just because I don't know the specifics of these metrics and what, you know, the consequences of that is.
Also, there's a whole bunch of other factors that would lead to someone who
Well,
enjoys the ocean being
well,
more healthy overall.
Wait, wait,
more active
whoa.
people.
Well, you know, you're saying more healthy, but listen, all the plastics. So what you're saying, I just threw it
That's
out.
a good
I was a
point,
doctor. So do I have more plastics in my cells? Has anybody checked that? If we're in the water more and there's more plastics, microplastics, maybe not in this area, but like say, you know, Pacific, do those people have, you know, has anybody done tests on people to see if there's, like you said, there's, I read, you know, seriously, you know, in fish, there's, you know, there's plastics that are coming up in these, you know, jellyfish. What about humans? Has anybody tested? Has there been any research on humans and, you know, tissue samples and you know, because I'm like,
No, I think there's definitely more plastics in people than ever before.
well, that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a question. I believe the last stat I heard on that was we eat about a credit card worth of plastic every year.
So if we're in the ocean a
diet.
lot and drinking the water, I mean, swallowing and
Well, hopefully you're
fishing,
not drinking the water.
but I mean, but you know, if we have a different biome, that means we're getting probably water in our system.
yeah.
So does that mean we have more plastics?
So I don't think they look specifically at the amount of plastic for people who go in the water versus, you know, not consistently go in the ocean. But I will say that one of the things the study looked at was the type of biologic markers that these people had. And it wasn't just these microorganisms that were prevalent in the water. It was very specific organisms that they could trace back from the ocean to these people. So it's not just based on,
Were they good organisms? Like, would they help? It was improve your gut like function, less Let's like
I
C.
don't-
diff and
Who was the doctor that did it?
It was Cliff Capono.
look it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not-
I would definitely
So-
recommend
so-
looking it up.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to misspeak on his research.
Wait, do you hear about? Well, I'm looking it up. Have you heard about surfer's ear?
Surfer's year?
Ear.
Ear.
The year
I
of
have
the
not.
surfer.
Is it
Ear.
related to swimmer's ear?
Yeah, honestly, you with cold water and like extreme, like a lot of cold water exposure, surfers go deaf like pretty early.
Yeah, you were bringing
Like,
this up
wow.
last time.
It
He was bringing
concerns
this up.
me.
It's
Well,
not.
What was that?
like,
I can't
right.
really hear you. What did you say?
Yeah, literally.
No, yeah, you brought this up last time.
Well,
Yeah.
I had plugs in my ears when I was younger, so I'm like already get ear infections constantly. But is this the guy, the surfer, by the way?
Yeah, yeah.
But getting the surfer's ear, like going deaf, would definitely suck.
Tell me when he's on, so we can tell people. So yeah, just while he's pulling this up, people on our podcast, you got to go to our YouTube and Facebook when you hear this, and go really watch what's going on in the show. It's really great stuff, and we do a lot of visual stuff. But our so this is now, who are you pulling up here, Sean?
The Cliff Capono article.
Oh, about
research-
what's in your stomach.
Yeah.
So you guys could look this up, and it'll be on. You could go on our I'll go on our Facebook or YouTube video, and you could reference that. You're showing the article there.
I am.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Can
I'll
you-
send you guys links to everything.
Yeah,
well,
the
everything
Surfer
I
Pro
talk about.
project teaser. All right.
Jack, how big of an impact did lifeguarding have on your choice to become a marine biologist?
Oh, it had a massive impact. I had mentioned this in the intro, but I actually went to school for engineering originally, more or less because I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's what I thought when you first
Yeah.
came on the beach. Rob was saying, you're going engineer. You're going for your engineer degree. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah, it was. And the
That's
longer
what I thought,
the
yeah.
longer I went into it, the more I realized I really just wasn't interested in it. And luckily, Boston U had a really, really great marine bio program. So I picked up a minor, and all of a sudden, instead of being stuck up in my room doing math problems and typical engineering stuff, all of a sudden I was going on a boat every day and doing research on these whales, and I was out in nature. I was going on hikes and stuff like that, and I was learning about invasive species and native species, and it was incredible. It was really, really clear after that marine bio and biology, ecology was something I was much, much more interested in. And so after that one semester, I switched in full time.
Wow.
That's good. That's good. That's good. The like I said, I was a biology major in college, and I took a minor in physics, and I almost went over to physics, but you see, I could relate to you. Marine biology would have been my secondary love. I mean, I do agree with what's going on with the ocean. When I first started working, and when I was a young guy on the beach, it used to be tons of fish. We talked about this last time. Just schools and schools of bluefish and for miles, especially at the end of the summer. But during the summer, we used to have to move people out of water because there'd be schools of bluefish come in. When's the last time you guys been working on the beach? Have you ever seen that?
I remember when I was younger, but I don't remember it now.
Right. So no doubt about it. The ocean, the biomass is going down in Tortola with the fishing, and even though the clamming's still good, I mean, they're kind of isolated, but it's that's a real problem. So I didn't know that. So what on the beach specifically, like, what, I know you're on the beach, but what changed you from, did you see, like, because you saw the ocean being dirty, or you just wanted to be outside more? Like what specifically?
Yeah, I think
I didn't know that,
combination
Tyler.
of all of those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I really kind of just realized how much I loved and cared about the ocean through lifeguard, and
Wow.
I think it really enhanced that connection I was talking about before.
Wow. That's really, I tell you what, that's really awesome. I mean, so lifeguarding changed your life and your career.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's,
yeah,
that's pretty significant from my perspective.
It did. And I honestly look back and I think, the two decisions I've made in my life that really contribute to these amazing experiences I've had. The first is choosing to be a marine biologist, because I mean, that's taken me all over the world.
Right.
And the second is choosing to become a lifeguard, because I mean, I've made some amazing friends, amazing memories.
Yeah.
It's really those two decisions.
You almost
that
work for Seaside Park, you bastard.
No,
I
but
did.
he
I did.
probably
That was
would've-
really quick. You
he
guys
prob-
gotta advertise better.
he
That's
would
really
have.
not on me.
So we had
Hey, that is one thing we learned from speaking to Tim Harmon last night, was that our online presence could be a little more robust.
right. But
Little-
also
I had to search through 3 months of Facebook posts before I saw the tryout date, and they had the wrong address on there. It's a miracle I actually
that should be Googleable.
got to the tryout.
Yeah.
That should be
Oh, it
easily
wasn't.
Googleable.
It wasn't.
Yeah. But he said something, you talk about Tim last night, and what he's saying, Tim is a third generation. He's second generation. His son's a third generation. And I was talking to somebody today about, actually, when we were operating, because we were talking about lifeguarding. Of course, I'm operating, I'm talking about lifeguarding. That's how bad I am. And but Tim, his father did it. His father's big time. And then he did it. He's doing it now, and he's a chief of Seagurt, which is and he's a representative of USLA, and now he's got his son. But there's places where, like Joe Casino, his son, now the father. But I've been down in Ventnor and down there. There's 3, 4, 5 generations of lifeguards, but it changes your life. And we talked about it last night, and this is really important that we bring this up again. Is that for you? That you said just 2 big decisions in your life, and it made you a different person, even if you didn't become a biologist, marine biologist, but it put you in that direction. I don't think I would have been as successful as I am now if it wasn't for the Beach Patrol. I started when I was very young. I was about 18 years old, and it teaches you discipline. It's so many things it teaches you, and I think that it's something that parents should push their kids, at least if they do it 1 or 2 years. It's almost like going into the military to a certain degree. I mean, you're not getting killed and everything, but you could do it or you can't, and you have to rise to the occasion. All 3 is, I've watched you when you came on. You guys were all young, and I watched you mature and really become men. So it does that. So I'm glad, but I'm really surprised. I didn't know that you changed because of the beach. That's really wild.
I wouldn't say it was
solely
only because of the beach, but it definitely
a
played
big
a role.
Yeah.
When did you start surfing?
About 10 years ago, I think, because I used to live up north. I wasn't very close to the beach. So I would come down here sporadically in the summer, bought a surfboard, tried to learn, failed for a few years. And then I really got more into it when I went to New Zealand to do some marine bio research. And I just continued it from there.
Right. And then Kachmar got your yellow board.
Yeah.
We're going to try to get it. We're going to
check out our Instagram. There's some cool pictures of Jack on the yellow board up there.
I'm going to try to get a whole bunch next year. I'm working on it. I want to get every stand have a yellow board. Yeah. So
okay. You know what it's like to be a lifeguard. You know what it's like to be a surfer. This is something you mentioned that you wanted to talk about tonight, is the lifeguards versus surfers debate.
Yeah.
The war of the beach.
Whose side are you on?
It depends because, when I'm a lifeguard, I work end stands a lot, which is where we let people surf. And I get annoyed pretty easily because, the surfers are getting too close to the swimmers, whatever. But when I'm surfing, these lifeguards don't know what they're doing. I'm not too close to the swimmers. They keep moving me over. And so it really depends what I'm doing. It's hard though, because, a lot of people don't realize, especially if you're surfing, maybe not so much a beach break, but a point break more so. There are certain spots on the beach that are much, much better for surfing. There are certain areas where the waves are breaking a lot better. Like, there could be a really nice right on Hamilton that we wouldn't let people surf because, that's in the middle of our
Check. Lifeguards know that. We just don't give a shit. No. No. But you know what though? We said this before. I think that I think that surfers probably, if you took, probably make just as much rescues as lifeguards do, because all my years in Seaside Heights, when we left the beach, the surfers would be out there and they would make all the rescues. And of course, I had the police department, the fire department, but you could, talk about the disparity, but they make a lot of rescues, and they may not want to admit it, but I think every surfer has lifeguard in them.
Well, I think they know the water really well, and that just comes from time in the lineup, time
not wanting to let someone die. Also,
there's that whole moral implication.
Yeah.
So, have you ever made a rescue while on your surfboard?
No, I haven't. I've actually never even gotten close. I haven't even
Yeah.
seen another surfer make
So
one.
so keep on expanding. So what's tell us the conflict. So like you know what like some of the tell me because I know you guys run the N Beach and I don't get too involved with you know the lifeguards. I just hear you guys, you know, when we see them getting too close, we'll say something. But what has been their rhetorical, you know, when you go out and talk to them or call them in or you know take a board out?
Yeah, well,
What do
I
they say to
mean,
you? What,
I think
you know,
I think the biggest thing is that it's hard to reach them when you're on the stand because, you know,
Yeah.
especially if you're by yourself, you can't get off, you know, your partner's on break, whatever. You could blow whistles at them, but they're far out. They usually don't think you're talking to them. So it's hard to communicate. I think that's where a lot of it stems from.
Yeah, they hear a whistle, they're not turning. They
Yeah,
don't,
I would never.
no, because
never
they
turn
know
if I heard a
that
whistle.
they're fine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's good. So well, I think that surfers, in my opinion, I've never had an adversarial. Maybe way back when we used to have a lot of what do you call it? The town made a surfing beach right in the south end where we had the most crowd beach. You know, and we would have thousands of people in the water, and then these surfers, and like you said, it was just impossible to keep them apart.
Yeah.
And it really became just more work on our part, and I didn't like that. But I always had the respect for the surfers, and most of the time they listen. But yeah, to get to them, you know, you talk about what we would do is we would either take out a board or a jet ski or a boat. You know, actually, even big surf, we used to take the boat out and you know ride the boat right through them. I mean, I've done that. Junie has done that, and you know, of course, and when we got the jet ski, we used to take the ski out and go cut them. But you know, really, I don't know how much. I don't think we really had that much problems. I mean, every
Yeah,
once
we
in a
never
blue-
really
I mean, the
have
surfers have been pretty
problems
good.
with surfers. I say
Yeah.
rivalry, but it's really just
Yeah.
maybe a mutual slight annoyance, I would say.
Yeah. I don't think it's that bad. Sean, you surf, right? I mean, yeah,
Not well, but yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
you guys paddle out together all the time.
Oh yeah, I tried to get him to paddle out today.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I
Finals.
Yeah.
yeah, I used to surf.
Get your priorities in order. Come on.
My bad.
It's all about the stoke, Sean.
Yeah. Nar.
Jack, what's your favorite fish?
Oh, that's a good question. So
That's what I'm here for.
my favorite, I'll expand it a little bit further. My favorite marine organism
Ooh.
is
I love
the
your
I like
Nose
orgasm.
ray.
Favorite what? Marine orgasm?
or-
What did he say?
marine organism.
I thought he said orgasm.
The question
This
I
is a
wrote
family
down
It's a
show
totally
here.
different different question. My favorite marine
It says not.
organism.
What's he saying?
What?
It says in the title. What's he says? It says
I
the
took
ti-
care. I took care of that already.
Oh, okay. We sorry about that. We took care of that already.
Sorry.
Sorry.
For favorite
Okay,
marine
so what you?
Yes,
Somebody was
yes.
texting me.
Okay.
This is live show, man. This is what happens. You know.
The cow nose ray, which is the little rays we see swim on the beach, and they're my favorite because every once in a while they will do a great shark impression.
Yes.
They'll
Yeah.
stick one
Yes.
fin out of the
Yep,
water and
yep,
just
yep, yep, yep.
swim along right next to the break, clears my beach like that. Everyone gets out. It's amazing.
That's right. That's right.
I
That's
think
right.
we really need to invest in a fake dorsal fin that we can give a rookie to swim out on really packed days and
That
when we
is-
need to clear the beach.
that is a brilliant idea.
So you make a good point because that you know when the bullnose rays come in, everybody thinks they're sharks, and we used to go out and feed them. I would take out a boogie board and go get squid, go from the store, and go out there, and they would just like surround you, and people would lose their minds. They think they were gonna, And I had once where, which I haven't seen for years. What's the sunfish?
Mhm.
Right, and we had a sunfish like right off of like Webster, maybe between Grant and what you call Blaine now, and Sumner, and it was just sitting there, and it was a big Sunday, and it was hundreds and hundreds of people, and everybody got out of the water, and people wouldn't go back in. So what I did is I knew what it was. It's sunfish. They only eat jellyfish. So I swam out to it, and when I got to it, I remember it looked at me and it got so shit scared. It just took off. So but that's another one that used to come around and scare people because it's got a fin and it would kind of flop back and forth.
Yeah, I saw one the other day
Yeah.
while I was surfing. I got
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got a little spooked because I saw the fin.
So they're cold. I thought even with the cold, well, I guess it was
Yeah,
not that
yeah.
cold. I haven't seen one of them in years. Have this the first time you've seen it, or?
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's good to say. That's good
I
to
saw
see.
saw one up in New England. I was doing research, but never
Yeah.
that close.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty. That's good.
Was anyone working when the sea turtle was on our beach or near our beach? Anyone remember it?
I don't even remember that. I must have.
There
been
was
off.
it might have been your first year. There was a sea turtle like half dead going down our beach in the water. I remember a lot of people were freaking out thinking it was a shark, and we had to clear the beach. But it turned out it was a sea turtle. You weren't working? I was.
What year
I
was
remember
that? How,
seal.
how,
I don't remember it because it was on the north side.
I remember a baby seal like playing around in the wash.
I remember that too, but also I
Wash.
wasn't on that
well,
side.
were you guys working when the one summer where we had 2 or 3 dead dolphin? Well, one.
Yeah,
So the one
by the pier.
right, the one.
That one had a giant chunk bitten out of it.
Yeah, but the one was sick. It
That
swam.
made me very uncomfortable.
I don't remember. Yeah, well, sharks lead it. Listen, when I did my fishing, when I used to fish a lot. I'd go out and there'd be a whale carcass out there, and the sharks would hit it. They're mostly mako and blue sharks around here. I'm telling you right now, there's not. I used to go out, and that's where you guys get all about, crazy about sharks. And I mean, they're around. And the mako might bite you, but it's all the thousands and thousands of people in the water. Well, we used to go out fishing in June, and we go out 30 miles to a place called the Fingers, and we would sit out there, and the boat would drift. We drift for miles and miles, and we would chum blood and guts and all kinds. And it was hard to get a shark to come to the boat. And they were, like I said, they were mako and blue shark. But I've never heard or saw a great white. They're out there, but they're not interested. And I think also why you don't have to worry about sharks as much anymore is because we don't have all the bait fish. We don't have as much fish close. They're not going to come in if there's no food. So anyway, but I think that the turtle, but you guys, so we're gonna answer your question. Were you guys around for those? You were there.
Dolphins.
I saw.
Which one were you there for? The 3, the one summer, the 3 we had a.
It was like a pretty big northeast day, and we were doing some training with fins, just trying to get the loose cans out past the break, and we're swimming in like 4 or 5 foot swells. So you go down, under the crest of a wave, and you come up, and then I just saw like out in the distance just this floating mass. And at first I thought it was like garbage or something, but I'm swimming, I keep looking, and I just I'm like, oh my God, that's some sort of fish. Like, it was big, dude. It was like 3/4 the length of
Was
the
that the one that we came floated up, and we got the bulldozer and took it away?
I believe
right.
so, yes. There's a picture somewhere of a couple of lifeguards standing next to it with some oars, because that was the only way we could get it out of the water. But I get everyone out of the water. I'm like, guys, get out. There's no reason for us to be in here with whatever that is. And I grab a pair of binos, and I just looked at it, and it was like, I immediately noticed it was a carcass, and it was just, we waited for it to get washed up. It washed up like 10 yards from the pier, and we got up to it, and it just had a giant chunk bitten right out.
And a lot of that time, that's after they die. There was, I don't know if you remember the one, it was swimming back and forth, and it was in distress, and it was going back and forth, and people were on the beach were getting distressed. So we called the Marine Stranding, and they said, don't do anything, leave it alone. And they were going to come up, and it finally died. It just stopped, and I don't remember exactly, but I think we sent somebody out with a rope. I think it might have been BJ or somebody, tied it on a tail and drug it in, because it was just floating there. It was huge, it was pretty big. And I remember we got it on the beach, and we were able to pull it up, and they came from the Marine Stranding Center with a big truck with a cooler, and they brought this it wasn't a backboard, but it was a sling, and we put the dolphin, it was small enough to put in there, and we brought it to the truck, and they were taking it to Philadelphia to do what do you call it, narcolepsy, or what is it, autopsy on a, what do you call it? They don't call it. No. What do they call it? What do they call it on a fish when they do an autopsy? It's not called an autopsy. What is it? Look it up, Sean. Do me a favor real quick. What's it called?
What is fish autopsy?
Yeah, what is it?
Google
What is it called? But so any of you guys remember that? Were you guys there for that?
I've seen a giant.
No, but you weren't there. You weren't working on the beach.
Necropsy. You were close.
What was it called?
A necropsy.
Oh, no. Okay, you laugh at me. Yeah.
Yeah, laugh at me.
Sorry, Kachmar. Yeah, okay. You want to get an IQ test right now? Okay. We'll see.
I think I perform a lot better than you.
Yeah. So listen, you're gonna make fun of me. I'm dyslexic. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, make fun of a dyslexic doctor. Yeah. But anyway, none of you guys working then? Was that long ago?
I don't,
was that
I don't
long
remember
ago.
that.
I would definitely
I remember a
that if I'm honest.
Stingray. This thing must have weighed like 500 pounds. That was a pain in my ass.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That
One of the coolest things that I remember about like my rookie year, one of the things that hooked me on the job was just seeing all the ocean life, you know, like whales and the dolphins and the pods of fish. I just always found that so cool.
Have you guys worked when when you're swimming out to the buoy or whenever you're swimming? Have you ever had it where you see down in this big clumps of seaweed and you think it's something? Have you ever?
I've been out
Because the water gets that clear.
I've never seen that, but I've been pretty close to some dolphins on a buoy swim, like from me to Sean.
Yeah. I've had that happen.
That was an awesome experience.
It is. Yeah. And plus on the boat and the board, I've had them come right up. But I remember we used to have a lot of years where there was a lot of seaweed. In fact, a couple of years, it was just so thick. You would swim and it was just completely seaweed. But you would have other years where there was big clumps of seaweed. I mean, just big clumps the size of this, maybe 20, 30 feet. And so you'd be swimming out and, the water's pretty clean, but you can't see perfectly. And you see this big black mass. And I tell you, it definitely got you a little bit scared. And, but I haven't seen that. I really haven't seen a lot of seaweed. So I don't know if that's anything indication of.
Well, for us, they just dredged right off our coast.
But even before that, but go
Well,
ahead.
Jack,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
About the beach replenishment.
We cut you.
Well, no, it was like
You're good. It's a good segue.
Yeah. What happened there? Because like I feel like a lot of damage was done.
Yeah. From aside from any research I've done, I got that same impression just looking at the water and just smelling the water.
It was
after they were pumping it. It smelled and looked like they had just chummed the water.
Yeah.
About the specific damage, I don't really know enough about it to give you like a scientific explanation. But they do that so that the coastline stops receding. Because our beach every year has been getting smaller and smaller,
and still is.
Yeah, and still is. And I will say I question how effective those programs are for the long term, because there were a few programs I read about in Australia that did the same thing, and the way that they took sand from one area to another messed with the currents and ended up speeding up the erosion of that beach.
Yeah. And I mean, this is no knock on the I believe it was the Army
Reserves,
Army Corps of
Engineers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our beach is almost just as small as when they started.
Yeah, I mean, intuitively,
You guys,
when they finished the beach replenishment, there was like 200 yards of sand in front of Casino Pier.
Listen.
Now the high tide comes up under the pilings again.
Listen. First of all, I don't want to get into an argument on the radio, but here's the thing: if you look at the pier, the south, South Seaside Heights.
Yeah, you're looking north to the pier.
Right, that one pier that they haven't developed yet. The water used to come right up to there. All right, it's not even close to that. And you got to remember, we have dunes now, so
it comes right up to it.
They did this.
I mean,
what,
the pier
2 years ago.
Yeah, but no. First of all, they told me when they did this, I was talking to the engineer, one of the engineers. He says you can lose about 75% of this over time. He said it could be 5 years, it could be 2 years, it could be 7 years. That's anticipated. Yeah. They actually have funding supposedly set up where they're going to replenish it, maintain it. So it's not just the whole idea was to do it. I'm not saying I agree with it or not, but their idea is to maintain it, and the idea about the better how do you say it? The lesser two evils? Well, if you get another storm, the dunes are going to take the hit and not the property and not the destruction to the property. But what I want to say,
who pays for it?
You taxpayers, your taxes.
So
we paid for it.
We pay for the coast to not wipe away.
Yeah. And there's people who own these $1 million houses too.
I don't disagree with that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be taken away by the ocean. But
here, let me think about. I disagree. Listen, we can make an argument, but let's just. It is definitely going away. How much? I think the argument would be percentage wise, but it is definitely losing. But I want to ask you this about what happened when they were doing that dredging. Right, I was running on the beach and everything in the wintertime, and I saw this black stuff, and I looked at it, and it looked like coal. And I inquired about it, and I was told that it was petrified wood.
Yeah.
It was, so it was ancient or historic, old wood. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of years. And so that they were doing the dredging out there, probably a mile out. So at one time that was rainforest.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
that's
this-
why.
the
Is that
sea
what
level-
that was? So what was
Well,
that?
I'm not gonna say it's a
Okay.
rainforest. It
No, but that
probably-
was wood though. That was so it had to be a forest
Maybe,
at one
maybe
time.
it was the
right?
lost city of Atlantis.
No,
Or
but-
even
but
just for
remember-
Seaside. I mean, the guy might have been right, but there was also a fire like 5 years prior to dredging on the boardwalk.
No, this was no.
Is it past that?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the boardwalk it burnt, but then they I'm trying to think they ripped it all up. They took. I guess it could. I mean, but it would have sank. This was deep. They were dredging this stuff and it was coming up. And remember, do you guys remember that? It was all over the beach.
Yeah.
There's black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the water being like purple.
Yeah.
Like,
the
it
the
was-
water was pretty gross.
Yeah. So this question might be a little bit out of your area expertise, but do you see any other possible solutions, or do we just
Well,
like I've heard it thrown out that like maybe jetties would help
Mhm.
more, building jetties. to hold the
Lavalette had
salmon.
them. Lavalette
Yeah.
had them.
yeah. So you're right. This
Past
is in my
tense?
area.
Yeah, well, they
of,
buried them with the dunes.
expertise. I
mean,
can't really comment on like how different structures are going to affect beach erosion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at Wildwood. Wildwood has the opposite. Wildwood, the beach is growing and growing and growing. It's like
Yeah.
the boardwalk's a mile away now from the water, and yeah, they've had what they call dune jetties, groans. What I saw in Seaside, we never really had that much problem. Our pier, first of all, the pier that we have, Funtown Casino Pier, used to go out. I don't know, another 50 yards, 100 yards, and that seemed to catch a lot of water. I mean, a lot of sand. So, but typically, I would see this, and from my historical point, you would have a lot of erosion during the winter. So when you start in the winter, and we used to have, I would know with the pilings and everything, you would have a certain height of sand, and during the summer it would build. You'd get about 20 yards,
that's probably
30
because
yards.
the waves are much more powerful
Right.
in the winter.
Right, but my point is, though, is summer typically you build beach, and then in the winter you knock it down.
Yeah.
And I think that has been the normal occurrence. Getting back with this after it's interesting when Sandy hit, right? I have pictures of the boardwalk. The boardwalk was still there. It was all wavy. Do you know? I have a picture, and I could bring it on next time. Every garbage can on that boardwalk was still standing up.
Do you think that
So I'm just saying how, there was a
you
lot of damage. No
if
doubt
we had
about it.
dunes for Hurricane Sandy, would it have been a lot
Oh
different?
my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing, though. Lavalette.
Because a lot of the damage was from the flooding from the bay.
Yes, the
slowly
back bay.
coming in.
Right. What's interesting about that, because I did a lot of research, Herring Avenue, which is our North Beach, was an inlet. It closed up in 1865. So that opened up during
Yeah.
Sandy.
They
So
connect-
crazy.
Also,
That's like yards from my
Right.
house.
also the inlet, there was an inlet at Manalocan, which also opened up. So they opened up, all that water went in the back bay, right? And it was a surge because this was a hurricane that retrograded in, which is like the perfect storm. So this is in a very unique scenario. That's what it was. Perfect storm was
we love that word.
the perfect. Well, it was a book. It was a book and a movie. But what that happened is
Retrograde.
retrograde because mostly in this part of the country, weather patterns go from west to east. This hurricane went east to west. Anyway, it filled up the back bays. And then when the water went down, the ocean water went down, the surge went down, that water was all trapped back there. And then I wasn't here. I was down in Caribbean, but I heard like right the next day or two, you had a snowstorm. So you had a tropical storm and then you had a snowstorm.
Yeah, I remember that. It was
Right.
crazy.
So but here's what they every town, there was 3 fixes you could do. Not just the dunes. And of course, not everybody did the dunes. Point Pleasant doesn't have dunes. What they did is they put a wall, a bulkhead. I don't know if you saw that. So what they did is they put a bulkhead and they covered it with wood, so it looks like a fence. But they did that. So you could what was the fixes? You could do the wall, you could do the dunes, and there was something else. But that rocks like they do up in the
big
Highlands.
jetties,
No, like the
The ro-
rocks. You know the Highlands.
Atlantic Highlands.
You have like big walls and rocks and everything.
Yeah.
So you could do that. You could do the dunes, or you could do the wall. I think the wall you'd have to pay for yourself. The town would have to pay. If you would go with the dunes, the Corps of Engineers would do it for free. I actually think it looks beautiful. I think it looks nicer, the beach. I think.
Yeah, I have no problem with the dunes.
No,
But-
I think
but-
they look very good.
Yeah.
I
But
think
but you
they
make
did
a good point
job.
though. It's we're fighting Mother Nature, and you said it yesterday. The ocean always wins, or maybe Timmy said that. So
The ocean always wins. And that's the thing. Like, are we fighting a losing battle?
Yes.
You know, because that's
Yeah.
what it feels
Yeah.
like after
Yeah.
the past 2 years watching the beach just
Yeah.
get eaten up and eaten up after all that work. It took
Mhm.
like over a year for them to really
but
complete that.
But what what's the alternative? I mean, why work out? You know,
No,
you're only listen. You're going to get fat and old one day. I hate to tell you.
Never.
I was a change boy at an arcade on the boardwalk when Seaside happened. I was like 13.
Yeah.
The place I worked at didn't empty out their machines full of quarters because who thinks that the hurricane's going to wipe out the boardwalk? So, and it wasn't just the place that I worked for, but all these arcades on the boardwalk that we know had machines that could hold up like $500 worth of quarters
Wow.
in each machine, and they lost like each place lost 30 machines maybe
Wow.
of just quarters in the ocean
Just lost and
to see.
Wow.
How many scuba divers were there after with big nets?
no
going
one-
in?
A cool thing was
they say that the people with the metal detectors are still finding those
no,
quarters
bottles
today.
bottles from the bars would wipe up, like, because I think I was there like the week after helping them clean or something whenever they were able to, and there were bottles lined up on the beach from the bars, and there were just people getting free booze from the ocean
What?
from Sandy.
So-
Like
so
the bottles
ocean gives
survive.
and the ocean takes away.
There was at least somebody with a black plastic bag throwing bottles in from the beach.
So-
The beach gods have spoken.
Yeah.
So here you
Tonight
go.
we party.
Here you go. You talk about surfing, right? So I had a competition board. This had to do with the hurricane and lifeguarding. So when Sandy hit, before Sandy hit, we had a storage facility on Hamilton Avenue. It was on the beach. It was a concrete building. You guys remember that, or if you were around for that? No.
Way before my
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Negative.
No. Okay. So
I might have been
so
at the arcade
so
at that point.
so that what it was years ago, it was a giant bathroom, and so the bathrooms in Seaside years ago, they were underneath the boardwalk. So you had one at Hamilton
Okay.
Avenue. It was a stage where the stage is now.
Yeah.
That was a huge structure. And then what we did is we closed the bathrooms down, and they took all the toilets out and everything, and they made it one big space. And we had two big doors, and we used it as storage. Okay, and the rest of the bathrooms were underneath the boardwalk on the street side. So each street or every other street would have bathrooms. So anyway, so I had a Zulu board, which was an old, competition board, right? And I had it for years and years and years. I had it stored in there, and I didn't use it for a few years because we had newer boards. But it was I think it was a bright orange or yellow board. It was called the Zulu board. So when I was down in Tortola, when this hurricane hit, I left that day. I left Saturday. I think it hit Saturday night or Sunday, whatever. I was like the last plane out. And I'm watching the news, national news, right? And they're showing Seaside, and they're showing the pier and all the shit washing up. And I see my Zulu board. I'm not lying. I'm like,
Smashed into the pier.
I go, that's my board.
No.
And then I got one more for you. So now you can't. How far is Fisher Boulevard over here? Right near
Wasn't there?
Fisher and Hooper, right?
Yeah.
There's that marina there, Cody Marine. That's
Okay.
probably got to be 3-4 miles from Seaside,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I know exactly what you're
Right,
talking
you know what
about.
I'm talking
It's like right in it's by Caddis Island.
Right. So yeah. So that's yeah, it's kind of, but it's actually it would be north of Caddis Island, right, almost at the end of Fisher
It's
Boulevard,
really
where it
close
hits.
to where Danny lives, like right there.
Right. So for the audience,
Okay,
for the
okay.
audience, it's about 5 miles, right? 5 miles.
The audience knows where Danny
No,
lives.
no,
Yeah.
no, but it's 5 miles from
Helping you out.
no, but it's 5 miles from Seaside Heights, where we had all our stands we had our stands put away because this was October, right? Our stands and our boxes. All the stands were gone. We never they were floating all over the place. But I'm dry, so I get back. This is now, I was down there for a week. I got back. So about a month later, maybe even longer, I'm driving, and I was going down Fisher, and I see on the side of near the water, one of our white boxes. Well, I didn't know it was our box, but I kind of, because, and I got a hold of the captain, and we went down there, and it was our box. So it went, 5 miles across. That was pretty wild stuff,
Well, there was a shark on the parkway, right?
Was there? I never heard
You guys
that.
don't remember?
That'd be crazy if that's true.
Look that up, dude.
I'm
I'm not just like saying that to bullshit you guys. I think that that's true.
I could,
Shark
Sharknado
Parkway,
3.
New Jersey.
yeah,
Sharknado
I
3.
could get into the whole thing
Sharknado
about
3.
like you know, Irma down in the Caribbean, which is
Did
another
I
whole
just
day,
write
but-
Sharknado 3?
Yeah.
Think we're on to Sharknado 9 or 10. I don't know if they're looking for writers, but we'll see.
So Jack, one of
I could be wrong. I might have just made that up.
So-
I like it though. I hope it's true.
So what do you think? So do you think from a marine biology standpoint, the dredging for the local environment, and I mean, there's a lot of fish in, I mean,
Mhm.
because the fish do migrate and everything. So how much damage do you think it caused to the ecosystem? I mean, that dredging, or is it temporary?
Well, I mean,
was it really big? Like what? I mean, I know it's, you know, but
Yeah, I mean,
How bad?
any marine ecosystem that is stationary there on the ground, you know, if there's any life that's fixed to the substrate on the ground, that's gone.
Yeah, but I don't know. I
in
don't
terms
know.
of the fish communities that live there, I mean, aside from sucking up these fish and disturbing it for, you know, that period of time when the water was pretty nasty, I don't think it did.
No,
But again, this isn't really my area of expertise,
No.
so there's definitely other people who
yeah,
probably know a lot more than I do.
yeah, I'm trying to think. They were going all winter long and all summer long, so you know, it was different seasons. You know,
Yeah. So one thing I will say, just to go back to Ty, to your question about how
Your favorite fish?
about how these things will, you know, affect erosion
Mhm.
is a lot of times, you know, we put systems in place that have really unexpected outcomes. Like, you know, I haven't done any work on specifically, you know, beach erosion on the East Coast, but I did some work when I was in New Zealand with a few scientists that were working on how atolls would respond to sea level rise. So for people who don't know, atoll islands are these islands in, you know, the ocean.
Pacific, in the Pacific a lot, like the bikini,
these
the
islands.
bikini called where they did the bomb, where they did the
These
testing. A lot of
chunks of
no, no,
land surrounded by
yeah.
water.
a lot of people would probably remember from news accounts. They would call the Bikini Islands. That's where they did all the nuclear bomb
Yeah,
testing.
yeah.
And there's atolls. They did.
Mhm.
They used that. Maybe that would be
So
something.
would an atoll
Well,
just be something like out in the middle of the ocean, like the Hawaiian Islands? Is that an atoll?
No,
Or those
so
are
that's an
volcanic islands?
archipelago
Okay.
because it's a chain of islands. But
Okay.
A atoll is an island that's completely flat. It's got a lagoon in the middle, a ring of very flat land around it, almost always some reefs.
That's what they say Atlantis looked like. Continue though.
Did we just find the land? Atlantis. Is that what this podcast is becoming? Finding
I've-
Atlantis?
Clearly, I've watched a few videos on Atlantis over the past 24 hours. Sorry to cut you off. Continue.
No, but anyway, they the research that this lab was doing and these scientists were doing was looking at how these atolls respond to sea level rise, because you know the elevation on these atolls is like maybe 3-4 feet, absolute max. So everyone kind of assumed that as sea level, much or significantly less. So everyone kind of assumed that as sea level would rise, these atolls would just sink, and that's not what happened. So instead of sinking, basically what happened is the sea level would rise, which led more wave energy across these reefs that were submerged. So there's now more water over these reefs, so there can be more wave energy hitting this atoll that then speeds up the erosion on one side of the atoll and deposits that sand on the other. So these atolls, instead of sinking, are actually dynamically moving sand in response to sea level rise.
So does it turn into like sort of a crescent then? Does all the sand get swept from one side and then deposited on the other?
I don't think the studies went with that long of a time scale to
Okay.
really see that kind of measurable change. I
is
could
that-
be wrong though.
Is that something specific to like an atoll where it's got water in the middle of it so it can move?
Well, I think more established islands.
Yeah,
are
that
a
were
little-
low.
or a little, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What they are, and again, he's, you know, I because I've seen them, and you know, and there's all different kind of. There's a place called in St. Vincent's and the Grenadines. There's a place called Horseshoe Key. So it's not an atoll, but it's a key. So
Mhm.
it's a little different. But these things develop. There's a very complex way. What's the matter?
He's a key.
Oh,
Sorry.
he's a key. Yeah, there's a lot of. There's a key right there. It's a very complicated scenario, but there's different the Earth, how the currents and the geologic history, it makes these things come about. So you could probably spend, I don't even know how they happen, but there are a specific kind of structure. And I would think that when you say it sinks, I would think that really what you're saying is the water rises and they stay same. I would have thought that the coral would have responded by trying to grow up and go, and so counter, it would rise theoretically or respectively to the water. If the water rise, you would think that the coral would start to build, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It probably didn't have enough time. I don't know how fast coral. Do you know how fast coral grows? Like, I don't know.
I really should, because I worked in a lab that did a lot of research on coral. I should know the rate of growth, but I don't offhand.
I can tell you, I started going down to Tortola in the early 90s. And there was the marine life there was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I could tell you the snorkeling, and I was just recently down there, right, like after Irma hit, and Irma had nothing to do with it before that. It was just declining, and you go to these coral reefs. There's just nothing there. It's white. There's no fish.
It's terrible. One of my good friends in Boston was actually doing her thesis on goby fish, I believe, and she was working on this beautiful reef for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden there was this 1 week period where the wind died down, it was really hot, and the entire reef bleached, and the fish she had been working with for months were gone, just like that.
So delicate.
And we used to think, the oceans and these coral ecosystems were really strong, and that's just very clearly not the case.
No,
I mean they're definitely resilient, and that depends on a few factors, but
that
are
actually
pretty fragile.
That actually ties into the next question I was going to ask you, which is how delicate our oceans really are, and like what is the biggest threat right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of really massive threats to the ocean, and let me clear up one thing. When I say, like, saving the ocean or destroying the ocean as, a body of water that holds life isn't going anywhere.
No, but the ocean will just basically wipe us off the map if it gets fed up with us.
The ocean has been here long before us, will be here long after us, but it's the state that the ocean is in that is deteriorating rapidly. And
when you say deteriorating, maybe would it be better to say, I understand, because deteriorate means bad, but but it's changing.
It's
and it may not be good for the better
to an unfavorable state
for human beings.
Yes, exactly.
See, so that's and fish, and because without fish we can't eat.
Well, certain types of fish. I mean, certain types of fish do better in warmer water, and that's where they're thriving.
I mean, trust me, I agree with you. I mean, I've seen it because I'm older than you guys, and I've seen a definite decrease in the quality. The amount of fish, and then in the coral reefs. The quality. The thing though, around here in New Jersey, the water has been getting cleaner because we don't put all the sewage into the water anymore. We used to have plants that would pump right in. Seaside Heights, just like every other town, they would process the waste material, but when it rained, it overwhelmed the sewage system because the sewage runoff on the roads were different than the things coming from the toilet. But when it got overwhelmed, they opened up everything. So it would just go into the ocean. And Berkeley Township, I mean, now you have a big processing plant. And, Asbury was one of the last places to stop pumping into the ocean. And then you had Sivagagi put chemicals all winter long. I mean, chemicals, like probably paints and stuff. So it's gotten cleaner in that regard. But because there's days we swim out there, it's absolutely like the Caribbean. But but from a fishing standpoint, I used to fish all the time for years and years. You got the stripers that come in, and like the Manhattan, the bunker that come down. Like you guys, it used to be miles for days. I'll tell you another thing. I was just talking about this. We used to have in September when the geese used to migrate. Millions. I mean, hundreds of thousands of geese. And it was just all for weeks and weeks, all around here, because I lived here. I mean, just the sky was filled with them. How much did you see? When's the last time you saw that ever happen? Have you guys ever even seen that?
Geese over the ocean?
No, flying over here, over Tom's River.
Geese?
Yeah, Canadian geese migrating.
I've seen them pretty frequently, but definitely not
thousands and thousands for days and days and weeks. And you guys could go research. I'm not making this up. We don't see it anymore. I don't know. Maybe they changed their patterns. Maybe they go fly somewhere else. But I mean, it used to be they come from Canada, they go down south. I just don't see. I don't see the
Well, they have
schools of
been
fish.
migrating later and later in the year, right?
But I don't see them though. I don't
But
hear
no, this
'em.
is
Yeah,
this
that
is
was-
something
that
like
was
just how
I'm just
short a
telling
life
you
is. No,
guys,
yeah, this is
you
all
guys
we
don't even
know.
know it. You
You
got-
know, I
I'm sorry.
remember there were geese in my elementary school playground, and that's probably the most I remember flocks of geese. But you're talking about how you remember bluefish in the ocean. I remember some sporadic events of that and more fish in the
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're saying that you've physically seen the degradation of life,
Absolutely. See,
and
this,
we aren't exposed to
That's
that.
how
We don't
See, this
know.
is-
slippery the slope is.
Yeah,
That's
that's not
how
how we see it.
quickly it can happen.
this is something interesting because when I talk to you guys about a lot of things, lifeguarding and life, and I always forget that I've been on this earth for such a long time and you guys haven't, and you would never know. It's like there's degradation, there's something going on, but if I just told you, you're going to research it, but the geese that used to be here,
Yeah,
they're gone. I mean, there was that, and then bluefish all summer long. There was just so much life in that ocean. And
this is just the reality that we know that
you got,
and it's gonna clearly, as the numbers are showing, it's going to get worse. But all we know is how it's been for us.
Yeah, so we talk about this concept a lot with marine bio or ecology and biology in general, is this concept of shifting baselines. So when you grew up, when you were a kid, you had this baseline of like these hundreds of thousands of geese, as you're saying,
just
blanketing the sky.
I mean, it was
and
Eloquently put, Jack.
Thank you. I try. And these massive amounts of fish, and that was your baseline, and you're seeing that deteriorate. But now our baseline is this kind of altered state where we're not seeing, that amount of, geese and fish, ocean health, whatever metric you want to measure. And coral reefs is the same way. When I went to Belize, we went to this one coral reef that they called the aquarium, and it is one of the last really, really pristine, healthy, beautiful coral reefs in that part of the world.
Where's that? It was Belize or Bahamas? Because
Belize.
I heard about the aquarium, but I thought it was in the Bahamas. But no, maybe
There
there's another
there
one.
could be
Probably.
multiple aquariums.
Yeah. But that's
Did
what it
you-
looks like. Yeah.
Did you get to dive on these reefs?
Yeah, we got to snorkel. Well, it's actually, I think you guys would appreciate that. So, I'm with obviously a bunch of marine biologists. They all have their, scuba gear. They all have these like very, very nice, expensive fins.
You had some dolphins?
I had some fins because they were the only ones I had. They were the only ones I could afford in college.
And you were probably moving through the water better than everybody. Yeah.
They did the job.
So
That's
on that regard, I wanted to go up to Alaska. My buddy, my two buddies, the one, him and his family, they lived up in Alaska for many years, and it's Glacier National Park, and I want to go because they say that in another few years that glacier is going to be gone,
Yeah.
and we might not even be able to see glacier. My question to you then would be is this. I personally, I always go by what I know in my personal life, and I definitely see all of these things going away. The real question is it significant? Is it bad? Is it just change? Is something else going to happen? Like you just said, the atoll is adapting. It's going to do something different. So is it going to, and this is a tough question. I know there's no answer to this.
No, it is very bad.
So what would be, so again,
to humans.
So so what would be,
and other marine
we keep going
organisms.
there. We're not going to have enough food. It's going to be because a lot of food comes from the ocean.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the statistic is 30% of the human population gets their protein from the ocean, and that now that protein has elevated levels of microplastics, of toxins, whatever we're dumping into the ocean.
So not only is it,
So the quality is definitely
the
decreasing.
quality and the quantity. So the quality,
and the quantity, yeah, and we have rampant overfishing that's depleting our ocean, and we know it. We know what's going on. We have a pretty good handle on what's causing these things to happen, but as a society, we've been very unwilling to make these systemic changes.
Okay, so let me ask you this: as a scientist, so I'm all about technology, and I watch Elon Musk, and he's going to get us on Mars. And
He has a
told me-
cyber whistle. I want to point this out.
right, yeah, and so
need
You
this.
need to pull that up.
Yeah. It's for
Are
it
these
was
gonna be
it was
next year.
you know what
Absolutely.
you know what that is? He does these things to generate income. The cyber whistle was to go with the truck, the new truck he's got, and he made, he makes a couple $1 million. But
Yeah,
here's,
sell
what
them
I'm-
for
here's
Gonna
Dogecoin?
change lifeguarding, I think. I
yeah,
hope we
but
don't catch
listen,
story.
but here, Jack, here's the question.
That is so
If-
cool.
Look at that.
If-
Beautiful.
yeah,
That
It's
is
like
so
sleek
cool.
mentality.
We need those.
Yeah, he
No,
made like
seriously.
$1 million.
Can you get a
No,
lanyard on
done.
that thing?
No, yeah, they're done.
I don't know about the lanyard.
So it's just that. But let me ask you this, Jack. Here's the question I want to ask you.
Mhm.
So everything is the populations, the amount of fish, the quality of fish are going down. That represents a huge what do you call it? Food source. But it also the oceans are getting warmer. It's climate change, flooding, all that stuff. And I understand. But what are we doing? We could try to change. Stop runoff, and with so many people in the world. I mean, how do you feed them? So, is there anything in science, technology, that's coming down where we could maybe feed people with cockroaches or in other words, what's the fix? Is there? I mean, we're all going to say, yeah, we're going to try to reduce the population by half. I mean, I watched that one movie where they said, we have to have a war or
Avengers,
something.
Avengers Endgame, yeah.
Avengers.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that was a good movie.
But my question is there anything in you're a scientist, you're a biologist, is there anything where with science is going to save us, that we could maybe feed people without having to fish, or we could again, technologies, I think nuclear energy is going to be the fix for CO2. I talk to you guys about that all the time. I think that's a real quick fix, and there's a lot of people talking about that. But from a biology standpoint, food because that's a huge thing. How do you fix that? How do you?
Yeah. So
is there anything?
I want to answer this in a few parts because I think this is really important to point out. And I was listening to episode 6 a few days ago. I'm a massive fan, if I haven't already said that.
We appreciate it.
But you guys were talking about plastic straws and banning plastic straws and talking about how people need to do their part.
Jack, are you saying you don't care about the sea turtles?
I
No,
care about the
Thomas-
sea turtles deeply.
Thomas
but,
did say that though.
but that
But
I
he-
didn't care about the sea
Oh,
turtles.
that he didn't?
No, Thomas said that he didn't care about
That's
the
fine.
turtle.
So not to get too far off topic, but framing this problem of our changing ecosystems, the degradation of the health of our oceans, framing this problem as an individual problem is almost, in my opinion, a kind of sinister part of this whole narrative.
Yeah,
Because it's-
buy my bracelet made from ocean plastic, you're saving the ocean.
Yeah,
But the
and
problem is
yeah,
so much bigger
exactly,
than
and that's
that.
not really gonna make significant change.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have nothing but the best of
Mhm.
intentions, but what really needs to happen is we need significant systematic change in our society, because
When you say systematic change, what do you mean?
so I'll get to that point
Okay.
in a minute. But I mean, look around the way our society is structured now. I mean, we're reliant on CO2. We're reliant on these things that are destroying the environment. So the real change needs to come at a much greater scale than the individual, and that will come with, hopefully, policy to regulate some of, the what these companies are doing, to these massive companies are doing on a large scale to
So
destroy the earth. But to get back
to
to your point, I think the second kind of solution to this is science and is innovation to make solutions that are cost effective.
How are you going to feed the populations? You go. Here's the thing, because I'll play devil's advocate all of this, because I'm an expert. You got China, who's still burning more coal than anybody else. India, and they got to feed the populations. They got almost 2 billion, and where a lot of the overfishing is in the Pacific. You know what I mean? There's huge populations that are growing.
and that's a hard thing to solve, because these wealthy countries got to the position they are by using CO2 and by using these systems that burn fossil
Easy
fuels and
resources.
stuff like that. Yeah, and using
So
unsustainable resources. But these poorer countries are using those same resources to get to, ideally the same point. So can countries like the US and China look at these poor countries and say, no, you can't do that, basically sentencing them to not be able to reach these heights that wealthier countries have reached.
Hmm.
I mean, it's
Well, first
really
of all,
more dilemma.
China,
That's such a complex-
I wouldn't
It
say
is
China.
very, very
I wouldn't
complex.
say
Yeah.
China. You know, yeah. And beginning, my whole thing about the question is that you know, so there's not. How do you know, to stop people from? There's multiple things we're talking about. You're talking about CO2. You're talking about heating of the ocean. You're talking about degradation of the fishing stock. You're talking about pollution in the fishing stock. So it's like this whole thing. When I was studying biology, you did it too. Remember when they get the Petri plate and they say, here's what happens. You could watch the cycle of a bacterial colony. You know, you get a bacteria, they start to grow. The plate gets bigger and bigger, more bacteria. They start producing waste product. And eventually they kill themselves because there's so much waste product. You know, and that's where we're going.
That's
Foreshadowing.
That's one of the reasons why Elon Musk, you know, he's like, we got to get out of here. We got to go, you know, we got to move the ball further. But what I'm saying is that, you know, what I think you guys like you who are in that field need to be, we got to figure out a way to feed, you know, because people need to eat without killing the environment. And we can't keep just, you know, the fish, because I'm very sure the fish have some connection. If you took all the fish out of the ocean, I don't think the ocean would be as healthy as it is.
Oh
now.
no, absolutely not.
I mean,
And
you know,
I mean
so
you're talking about overfishing. I mean, the solution to that is really just to create more well-regulated marine protected areas. So
yeah, but we got to feed people though. They're gonna bust. I mean, I understand.
30% of the population.
Yeah, so how are you gonna make that up?
We do need to feed people.
How are you gonna
But
make
at
that
the
up?
same time, you know, let's say, to use a simpler example, you know, let's say we have, you know, whatever, $100 in our bank account, you know, and we're spending more than the interest we get on that $100. Eventually we're going to run out, you know, and then we're all.
Well, I'll give you another one. You got millions of people in India who are living day to day, starving to death. I'm not kidding. You know, I mean, this is serious stuff. If you want to get down to it, how are you going to feed these people? You know, I mean, listen, I have no, right. You got to innovate.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I'm just
exactly
throwing it
what I'm
out
saying.
there.
But you said cockroaches as a joke before, but like that's
No,
an actual,
no,
that's an
no, it's
actual,
broken.
yeah,
No,
no, that's,
yeah, I was joking, but
and there are even ways where we could responsibly fish the oceans, correct?
Oh my
Well,
God. Yeah, absolutely.
it's called, you know, just like renewables. I mean, I know there are people who are raising catfish. They're raising, they're actually, I tell you what, lobster, you know, you talk about lobster. So what's interesting, you know, there are innovations. They used to be where lobster prices go up and down because, you know, they would have a season, they would get this lobster and they would sell it. Now what they do is they take the lobster that they catch all year round and they put them in these big vats and they sit them there. They farm them to a certain degree. And so it stabilizes the market. It also stabilizes the stock. You know, I don't know if they reproduce them or whatever, but so there is a lot of technology that's coming down that way.
So you're referring to aquaculture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but everything. So that might be one way to go.
Well, yeah,
mean,
I think it's a combination. You know, I really do believe that MPAs are marine protected areas are the best way to preserve the populations of fish that we do have and make sure it's sustainable.
So let me ask you this with the plastics, because you know we started on that. So I was talking to these guys a few shows ago. I know that about a year ago, they came out with an enzyme to break down plastic. So plastic is not naturally found in the environment.
No, is it an enzyme or is it a bacteria? Because I believe it's a bacteria.
You know what? You might be right. I don't know. I thought it was an enzyme, but whatever.
It's a bacteria they found that has enzymatic pathways to break down
plastic.
Yeah.
So I'm under the impression what happens now is you take plastic that's virgin plastic that was made from, you know, a chemical process, and then you could probably reuse that 3 times to the point where it's so degraded you only could use it for garbage bags. It's not that good, but then eventually that's it. So what's in the scene now? You know, what's going forward? Like these plastics, we could grab it, and can't we? We're getting to the point where we could throw this stuff in the ocean and dissolve it, or like what? Is there any?
I think the solutions are just never implemented ever, like enough to make a difference.
Well, they won't be until it's really cost effective, I think.
Okay.
But can they destroy it? Can we degrade plastic now? I mean, is there chemical?
Well, I mean, these bacteria can, but the problem is they're not found in high enough quantities to make them meaningful.
And you can't grow them, you can't make them. You know, I mean,
I haven't heard anything about.
So there's no.
I'm sure you could culture them.
So what's in the science world then? What's the fix now to get rid of the plastics?
Where's the money in saving the world, though?
Well, I think before we talk about, you know, fixing the plastic problem, getting this plastic out of the ocean. We got to stop putting plastic into the ocean.
You got to do both.
About,
But, you know,
about 14 million tons get dumped into of plastic get dumped into the ocean
What-
every
what's-
year.
what's most of the origin of plastic? I mean, it's not straws, right? I mean, what's like?
Definitely
I mean, straws are the most
straws.
useless thing in the world. I mean, other than
Definitely
for
not
old people, I
straws.
think
Twitter video
I think-
ruined straws for everybody.
I think you should not be allowed to use a straw unless you're over 65.
Well, you
Or under
that
no
mean you have
under
to use one?
10
I know, when we-
under
when we
10
take
under 10 under 10 or over 65, because that's the only people the young kids need to do straws,
Well,
right?
you know what? That's what I'm talking about.
Or older
About
people. That's
phrasing
it.
this as an individual problem where, oh man, you're using straws. Don't you care about sea turtles? Like, well, that's not going
But
to
what's
save
most
the
of
sea
but
turtles.
what's most of the plastic out there? Seriously, what's most of the origin? Is it bottles?
Yeah, so I believe most of it comes from both construction and packing.
So not
Single use.
So when you say
I
packing now,
believe.
what do you mean packing? Like,
Well, any type of packaging, whether it's on like the medical products you use or your Amazon delivery.
like contacts. I know contacts.
Bags of
Contacts, yeah, I
cement
remember
come
you were
in
talking about
plastic
that.
bags. So whenever there's any construction process, you're
Oh,
dumping massive.
everything.
Yeah, no, you're
comes
dumping.
in plastic.
yeah,
I bought a
materials.
loaf of bread the other day. Sorry, am I?
No.
too loud?
No. Okay, I'm sorry. So you
Okay.
brought a loaf of bread.
Yeah, and it came in a plastic bag, and I opened the plastic bag up, and there was a plastic bag inside of the plastic bag.
Oh, my loaf of bread also has that. Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
And it's got the little piece of plastic
Oh,
holding
yeah.
all the plastic. But this is
And then they put it in a plastic bag so I
Well,
could carry it home.
this is a problem with not only just plastics, like all products in westernized culture. It's like everything is like we have all this shit that we don't need.
Yeah.
And there's just so much production around an industry of just stuff that we really, really don't need.
And all these people that are super bored. Imagine if you had a bread maker in your town, like some guy just liked making bread, but he didn't use any plastics or anything. But like that was
Yeah.
just something that he got out of life that was rewarding enough, and he wasn't.
How do you carry the bread though? If you don't use plate, like here's the. So
Why should it
listen.
matter if you know the guy?
No.
reasonable-
You're gonna go pick up. I'm gonna say go pick up 2 loaves of bread, and they're all sliced up. How are you
Canvas
gonna
bag.
carry?
No,
it?
they're not sliced.
Okay, well
Why
no,
have to be sliced?
but okay.
reusable canvas bag,
Okay,
Paper bag.
canvas bags,
paper bag.
paper bags.
Uh,
Okay,
hemp
we'll go slow.
plastic.
So now we got paper. Now we got to chop down more woods. So where do you get the paper?
That actually,
We had paper bags. We got
uh,
away from that.
wood construction and the use of wood is a lot more sustainable than people think with reforestation. If you can take an area and consistently reforest it, it's actually pretty
Okay,
sustainable.
I'm good for that.
There's actually some great
listen,
there's some great YouTube
li-
videos
listen,
about it
when
that I'll have to look up and show you guys next
Listen,
week.
my
There you go.
generation, we had bottles and we had brown paper bags. I'm not kidding around. I think that cans started to come around. Maybe I'm trying to think when I was a teenager, but they were aluminum or no, they were tin and they would degrade. I'm not so sure they were bad for the environment, but bottles, like you have right here and plastic bag. I mean, bags. I agree with you. I think we should be going back to brown paper bags. If you could make it out of, how much can you recycle that? Really have a really aggressive recycling program and bottles. You could
Not only recycle them, but they're also in the environment a significantly shorter amount of time. Plastic just does not go away.
Yeah. Now, bottle. If you drop the bottle in the ocean, how long I know it degrades, but it's say not wave action, but just do you have any idea how long it lasts? Because I don't know, but I don't think I think it's
1,000 years. It's like a
No,
long
no,
time.
not a bottle,
Glass
no.
bottles don't last that long.
No,
You said
no.
glass. I'm sorry. I thought you
no
said
glass.
plastic.
No,
Okay.
no. I know a paper bag. You throw it in the woods or in the ocean. It's probably dissolved. It gets eaten up like real quick.
I think
And it's probably not bad. What do you think?
you say all these changes have to be systematic, and I think it's literally like a paradigm and a culture shift that everybody needs to go through to just stop wanting to buy so much stuff.
Yeah, but
Because
that's
where
just-
all this waste
But what?
comes
Yeah, but
from.
here's the thing, though.
We can live a lot more simply than
No,
we are.
but let
Like
me-
you said, what did you say? Only 1.3. This Earth can only sustain 1.3 billion people
No,
at the
No,
American
it's
standard.
about not. Oh yeah, I forget what that fact was. But yeah, whenever people can't live at the
Yeah,
American standard.
we buy and throw away way
Yeah, but that's
more
but
stuff
you're
than we
being
need.
You know what? You're being elitist though. You are, and you're not.
How's
And
that
no, listen,
elitist?
because I'll tell you what.
What do you?
Wait, just listen to me. Follow me on this. Don't get upset. Don't get upset. Relax. Sit back. How many people?
you sound
Listen,
triggered.
you're saying everybody got it. We waste more stuff. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
In this country, how many people are in this country, Jack? How many people in this country? Roughly. Give me.
I believe there's 300 million.
Okay. 300 million. How many
That
people?
might be
what-
wildly
we
inaccurate.
just
About
okay.
350.
Let's just say 350. Let's say
350?
400.
Okay.
I'll give you 400 million.
330.
400 million. How many people are in the world?
6 billion, 7
About
billion?
7 billion.
I think it's close to 8 billion.
Okay,
8
8 billion. I give you
Two.
8 billion. So we represent how much of that? What percentage?
But this is what I'm
No,
saying.
no, wait, so well, let me finish my thought though. I know what you're saying. We could do it in the United States. We represent, and I don't know how much percent we represent of polluting, but you got billions of people in this country who are not wasting anything. They're living. They're
But this
trying.
is the point I'm making.
So-
Our
so you-
standard of living is far outbalanced by how many people we have.
I
here.
understand
It's-
that, but you got to change the whole world to make. It's Jack. See, here's what I'm saying.
I'm not disagreeing with
No,
that.
no, no,
point
no.
at
I'm just
all.
saying is that I'm a big thing. It's just like saying, oh, don't let people swim at their own risk. They're going to drown. People are going to do what they're going to do. And most people in this world live day to day, mouth to mouth. I mean, there's a certain group of elites, like even in China. China, you got maybe 1.5 billion, maybe 300 million people are in the Communist Party and they're very well. Everybody else are poor.
It's not those poor people contributing to the waste. though.
Yes, it is. They got to be fed.
yeah.
They got. Oh, yes,
Oh,
there are.
okay.
Oh,
Inadvertently and not by choice, but they are
No,
contributing to
Not
it.
to the extent that
Right,
the
right.
elite.
my
So
car.
I'm gonna chime in here, and I'm gonna keep this related to the ocean.
Hey,
But
Hey,
even though developing countries don't produce as much as wealthier countries, a significant portion of the things they do produce end up in the ocean because they don't have the infrastructure to properly manage it.
yeah.
I believe 30% of all plastic waste in the ocean comes from maybe 7 or 8 developing countries.
wow, really?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
they do contribute a lot.
See, that's my point. I'm saying is that we have to. When I go around the world, I've been I'm not a world traveler, but I've been in a lot of places in this world, and there's people who never been to this country, and I tell you what, they don't really care or watch what we do. I mean, I've been in places where the Super Bowl's on and nobody's even watching. I'm the only guy watching it. They could care less. So my point is that when we talk about this, we're talking about a United States audience here, but the rest of the world is a different place. And that's what I'm saying. I think that technology, we need to be able to, guys like you maybe come up with some kind of new protein thing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
innovation is the solution.
it
I
bec-
mean, let me give you a hypothetical. I always talk about keeping things cost effective. If you had a device that you could buy for like $100 that would sequester carbon from the atmosphere, and then in like 2 years make a diamond, I mean, there would be no carbon in the atmosphere.
right, you can
At
make
all
money
if
off
something
it.
like that existed. 'Cause
Right,
it's
right.
a
Or-
cost-effective
or-
innovation.
Or
that
you
we
buy it for
can-
That would
$100.
drive
No,
down the price of diamonds,
no,
make them less
but Jack, even
valuable.
better.
That's another. That's why it will never happen.
But Jack, even better. You buy this machine for $100 and you keep it for like 2 years, and it sucks all carbon in, and then the amount of carbon in there, you could sell it for $500.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
And we have,
people be buying.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and we
I'm gonna
have
buy it for your
the-
grandkids. Like, I'm gonna get, instead of getting a savings bond, I'm gonna get you
Yeah,
a carbon
yeah,
sucker.
I mean,
See, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
well, we have technology to capture carbon from the atmosphere, but it's way too
Too expensive.
expensive right now for even like massive companies to use.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's really about innovating to, get the technology to a point where it is more accessible.
That's why.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if electric or wind or hydropower is cheaper and more cost effective,
then
for
we're
the
going to use
company,
it.
then
Yeah,
they're gonna use it.
absolutely. It's
Right.
all about
yes,
solutions being
Right,
cost
right.
effective.
That's why we need guys like you, and I'm not being, I'm not, kidding around with you. To who's smart and are going to look for these solutions. I don't know if we have them yet, but because guys like Elon Musk are going one way. You need the biologist to go another way. To me, with energy, I'm a big proponent. I've been reading a lot about this new. It's called Lift. It's a different kind of nuclear energy. It uses liquid metal for the reaction, and there's a lot of people talking about it. And I think China's going big forward with that. India, so there's a lot of good stuff out there that I think is coming, from a technology standpoint. But I think what I'm saying is from a biology standpoint, you need it. You need it from a physics or an energy point. It's not just all energy, because everybody focuses on this energy, Green Deal and all that, but that's only a small part of it. You
Oh,
know,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you know, you're talking about, you know, from a biology standpoint, in the ocean, you need, if you can't fix that part of it until you learn how to feed these people. So
Mm.
anyway, I think that's a great, you know, it's, but you make a good point, Tyler, about, you know, it's individual. I do my part, but I know human nature, and people are going to revert back to the same old stuff if they don't have an incentive.
Which is exactly why I say it really needs to be a systemic change.
Yeah.
That's really
So-
what's going to
so-
make it meaningful.
So systemic, we're talking, like I said, cultural.
Mhm.
Would it be an education thing too? Like, would it
Oh,
start in
I think
schools?
education is huge. I mean,
Uh-huh.
how
Yeah,
many
right.
people still
Yeah.
don't believe that climate change is real?
Mhm.
I mean, that has only to do with education.
So start kids as early as possible learning about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to solve the problem, you really need to understand the problem,
Mhm.
and to understand the problem, you need a robust education.
Curious minds thinking about the problem.
Yes, absolutely.
So Jack, where are you going? So what's in the future for you then? What, you know, where, so now that you know, are on this road embarking, do you have any, like when I came out, I wanted to open up a practice, but I wanted to, you know, do research.
Mhm.
And, you know, I had one friend, he went into cancer, pediatric, you know, for leukemia. And actually you know, he did a lot of pioneer. I had another friend who actually went to become a geologist, and he developed, you know, the side drilling, you know. So, I mean, do you have a goal? Like right now it is, you know, you worked on a beach, and hopefully you'll continue to work on the beach. If you can, you know, part-time, whatever, if you have a
I'd
full-time
love
job.
to, yeah.
Yeah. And we'd love to have you. And then the next thing is, so now your biology career, do you have like any, you know, aspirations to go into research or try to do something? Like what would be your field?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So
I mean,
it's,
you know, yeah,
it's it's pretty exciting right now, because I think there's a lot of things that interest me. I have a lot of different things I would like to do in the future, a lot of different directions. Right now, I think my main priority is going for my master's, and really deciding, kind of zeroing in on what specifically I'd like to study and do research on going forwards.
maybe a doctorate then after that, you
Yeah.
think?
Oh,
Yeah.
At
Good,
some point,
good,
absolutely.
good.
But ideally, I mean, I would love to.
But is it one spot? I mean, to interrupt you, but is there one, like you have, like, I know it's hard because maybe you don't know now, but is there one thing that you'd want to concentrate on in biology?
I don't know about one specific topic right now, but you know, it's funny because I was actually looking into you know, writing like a statement of intent and reaching out to some of these professors and the research that they're doing. And one thing I really need to do before I reach out to them is really focus in on the type of research specifically that I wanted to be doing moving forward in my academic career. So I don't really have that answer right now of one specific thing, but I would love to have that research focus on, you know, conservation and, you know, saving these dying ecosystems. I mean, that's really
Well, that's
what I'm
good.
interested
That's
in.
good.
That's
It
what I
makes
want to do
it,
going forwards.
it gives me faith. You know, I mean, you guys, and I feel I actually feel that I have, you know, maybe one day you'll invent something that's going to be unbelievable.
Hopefully
And
that's the
you know,
plan.
maybe our beach patrol played a little part, tiny little part that, you know, that we got you in there. And you know, so that's great. You know, I mean, that's, to me, that's what it's all about. We talked about it yesterday. You know, you mature. You know, you came into the beach. You were taught a lot of different things about life. I mean, we see some crazy stuff out there.
Oh my God.
It matures you. And I try to teach you guys. I know I you know, I give you guys a hard time, but I try to make it fun, and I try to challenge you academically. You know, I gave up on Tyler. I set Ava after him now. She's gonna. But I mean, you guys, all three of you guys are. I'm so proud of you. You guys did such a great job. And you know, who knows what you guys are going to do in the world, you know, as you get older. I know you're, you know, Tyler, you're writing. I know, Sean, you're studying your, you know, butt off right now. And I've been down that road. You know, it's funny. You sent me a text, or you guys sent me a text that you got finals, you know. It's been a long time since I had a final. But I remember those days, man, you know, cramming.
Yeah.
I remember, and I never was, I mean, I had the 5 pens, you know, I was top of my class, you know, so I wasn't but I still had to do some overnighters. And I remember a couple times, we get a couple, 10 cups of coffee, some speed, I know some kind of amphetamine. No, you did an all nighter. You had to. I mean, hey, well, it wasn't drugs. I mean, you stayed up.
They call that Adderall now. I think
Yeah,
that's what the college kids take.
you would just study and study and study. But my point is that you guys are going to change the world. If anybody's going to change it, you're the generation. I mean, we're here to guide you. We're guys to help you. Give us, we're here to give you our perspective on things and try to direct you in a great way. But we're handing the baton over to you guys, and you're the future of this world. So and I'm very impressed. Like I think you seem like a really smart guy, and I hope there's a lot more of you who are going in this field. And I'm glad that you didn't go. I mean, engineering. I mean, I'm not saying there's a million of them. I mean, it's a great field, but if every smart guy and gal went into engineering and not into biology, or vice versa. So I mean, so that's good. So,
yeah, we need a mix. It's going to take all of us to solve this problem, but I'm really excited. Lot of brilliant young people that I've worked with at BU, and a lot of brilliant people on the beach that I've worked with. I've been really impressed by some of my coworkers here, and got nothing but excitement for the future.
It's good. Sean, what do you want to say? Anything?
No,
We're getting on an hour and a half. I think we want to, it's these shows.
I gotta pee pretty bad.
Yeah. So listen, why don't we,
we'll call it?
We're going to call. So listen, let's talk about Jack. Jack, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
The time flew. I'm really proud of you that you're going to biology. That's like I said, that was my first choice. And when I was in high school, one thing that turned me on to biology, a new biology teacher came in. She was blonde, blue eyes. I was in lust with her. I was probably 15, 16 years old. And, I wanted to be in her class, but she turned out to be a big mentor to me. And then also, when I had another woman teacher there who pushed me into college classes, that's in 1976, 75. I actually did my senior year of college classes, which was unheard of, but she pushed me into it. But when I went to college, there was this doctor, I remember his name was Dr. Boney. That's his name, but he was a biology teacher, and he was just brilliant. And I tell you
wait. So there was Dr. Boney and two hot biology teachers.
Yeah. So I tell you
sounds like the start.
I tell you how crazy. Listen to this one. You'll appreciate this, right? You'll appreciate this. And we'll close it. So on the final exam, was a biology exam. I don't remember exactly, but so at the end, he had a slide up, it was the whole auditorium. So, and it was extra point. You would get 20 points. It was a ridiculous amount. And he put this thing up on the screen. Right. And I'm like, what the frig is it? And I'm not making this up. I couldn't guess it. What it was it was I'll say a butthole, but an anus. I don't know, a rat or a skunk or whatever. But he basically lifted tail up, I guess, and it just showed it was a butt hole. That's his sense of humor. But he was brilliant. Yeah, I know. So, but anyway, I was inspired. So
that's funny.
Yeah. So listen, Jack, thank you very much for coming.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'd like to get you back.
Jack, anything you're working on you want to share with the world? Maybe a little Spark player development shout out. I don't know if you want to go there.
Yeah, not to completely change topics.
Not to shamelessly promote myself.
Not to shamelessly plug myself, but I did just start a soccer training company that I'm working on outside of my marine bio research. It's called Spark Player Development. And I'm really excited about it. We already have a ton of athletes working with us, and it's
good.
It's super rewarding. I really.
Do you have a contact? Can we post it?
Yeah. It's sparkplayerdevelopment.com. The Instagram is spark_player.
How do you spell Spark? How are you spelling that?
Spark is SPARK.
Okay. Some people, I want to make sure. So, well, that's great, Jack. I give you all the best luck. And
thank you.
So we are Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar. We do the show as often
as we can.
Yes, we can. But every Tuesday we try to do it. We actually may have another show Friday. We'll see. My name is Dr. Michael Kachmar. Our contact stuff, when I put it up there, is drkachmar@icloud.com. We'll throw it up there. People on podcast, and if you want to see what we see here, you could it'll be published tonight. You could watch it. Go to our Facebook, Dr. Michael Kachmar, or our YouTube video. And the other way to get us is Jersey Shore Foot and Leg Center. That's Jersey Shore Foot. That's our webpage. But the what do you call it? The email is the best way. And then also, can you put up the we're going to put up on there our Instagram for contact.
LG.association.
All right. So and you could get a hold of us there. So anything. So Tyler, Jack.
Jack, thank you. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you for having me. Big fan of the show. As I said before, really, really enjoying what you guys are doing here.
We'll have you back
Awesome
on.
work.
There's a lot more questions I have for you.
Yeah, we
About
I
Atlantis
would love
and
to answer.
mermaids and dolphin language.
Oh, don't even get me started on dolphins.
so who's gonna
stop the music? We're gonna talk about dolphins.
who's gonna we're done. That's 44. Who's gonna say Jack? So
All right. These beaches are officially closing for the day. That means absolutely no more swimming. Stay out and stay alive.
Yes.
Stay out and stay alive.
Hey.
Have a nice day. Come back again. And God bless America.
We should change that to have a nice day. Come back next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. live every week from the Tom's River studio. Bye, guys.